How often do you really lean into your individuality? Like, really think about this is who I am. I am who I am. And I want to fly my freaky flag, right? Most of us, most of the time, are trying to fit in and make things work and workarounds and so forth. And or beating ourselves up because we're not like everybody else. And I want to introduce to you again the concept of human design. In episode 110, I interviewed Heather Vickery, who is a human design reader. And after that episode, I became obsessed, absolutely freaking obsessed with human design. So I too have now gone to get my level 1 reader human design capabilities. And so now I can read people's charts, and it has opened up so many opportunities for my clients. It's now part of a full human design reading is part of my ignitHER program, but I also do it if that's just what someone has wanted. And I want to share with you a very powerful case study with you today that happened just this week with one of my ignitHER one-on-one clients. Okay. So bear with me and you can see how this just blew open possibilities for her. Okay. So first of all, just to give you a little human design is it's somewhere it was it's pseudoscientific. That's it's some part science, some part woo, all round. Absolutely spot on for every single person that I have pulled a chart for. So just as an overview, human design is a holistic system based on your birth details that uses differentiation as its guiding principle. It is this whole process of detaching from what society says and really instead reestablishing your individuality. The things that you know to be true and that everyone is otherwise saying that's not the way you should be. Okay. So this gives us back to your blueprint. This is what you were meant to do, to see, to operate, and so forth. It takes into so many aspects of our life, from how we establish our inspiration and our thoughts, our intuition, our drive, our identity, our motivation, our emotions, how we digest food, how we want to, where we is our best environment. It has so many things, including our gifts. Okay. So I had a client. I have a client who is doing my one-on-one ignitHER program, which is a 6-session program that gets folks from, I don't know what I want, I know this isn't it, to this is what I'm doing. And in her situation, she has a business. She already knows what she wants to do. She has a business that she has started and stopped, started and stopped, started and stopped. It's a consulting business. And she was sure that she just needed to figure out how to manage her time better. So she came to me. We were going to and are working through a 6-session program to help her make sacred space for this business. She's a mom. She's busy like everybody else. And we are planning on doing all of the subconscious reprogramming to make sure that she is allowing herself to create the time and really letting go of perfectionism, because those are the two things that she identified. If she only had enough time, This is episode, I think, 119. If you've been here for even one other, you know what I believe about time. It's never about time, my friend. But that's where we had to start. So she came to me. I don't have time. I've started and stopped this business a million times. I want to do this work in the world, and I can't make space. Okay. So first session, every single person I work with, same exercise. It is a very deep dive timeline exercise where we go back to the day you were born, which is important to know for human design because you have to have your birth information, where you were born, when you were born, preferably down to the minute, and so forth. And we start there and we build the timeline. And I ask so many questions because if I were just to say, write down your timeline, you would have like 6 things there, none of which are really irrelevant. I get down to the nitty gritty. So a few of the threads that we pulled together for this particular client based on her timeline was that she loves to see, she can just see that this needs to be fixed. This is not working. This needs to be fixed. And when she has reached a point in a role where she no longer was given that opportunity to identify and see and have a voice, she would move on. Same in the fact that she, I will do this exercise. I've done this exercise with 1 million people. Some it's like, I want to level up. They went for more money. And none of them are bad. It just helps show this pattern. So her pattern was when she did not have a voice or let her have the voice, and or when she could not learn anymore. She tapped it out. I did all those things. Now I want a new challenge and so forth. So she reflected on that over the 2 weeks. She's doing her sessions every other week. And this week we came together for her second session, and I was asking her what her thoughts were on, how things had gone. And she was talking about how, she loves to learn. And for every other aspect of her life, she has identified what needed to be fixed. She would do her research, and she feels, had worked on, being the mom that she wants to be, being the partner that she wants to be, being able to spiritually, how she wants to show up in the world and so forth. And all of that she could do in this kind of research and identification and like action. And why she was frustrated. Could she not do this for her business? Why could she do this for all the other things, but not her business? She gets to a place, she starts strong, and then she just can't finish. So she can't finish putting all the parts and pieces together of what she needs. And also when she has taken on clients, she like starts strong, loves all this part at the beginning, and then she just can't find the energy and the time to finish. Okay. So again, she's still thinking this is a time issue. I just don't have time to do all of these pieces. So in the second session, in her case, since she knows where she's going, we dove into her human design right away. And this is where, if you pull your chart for human design, and I will put a link in the show notes where you can pull your chart for free. I get nothing. It's it's someone else that's also a reader and so forth. And they'll give you a free chart. Someday I'll have that capability on my website, but right now you can pull it from there. So there are 5 energy types. And again, you can go back to listen to 110, episode 110, to get all the things for all the different energy types. But in essence, everyone's blueprint, you start with the energy type. You're one of 5, and then each one has a specific strategy. And then there is an authority. And so for her, she is a manifestor. So a manifestor is someone who is powerful, fast-paced, and able to act independently and to initiate action and impact others. So that just gives you an overview of that type. They have a bold aura. Manifestors are ones, either you love them or you hate them. Like they're either this huge magnet, like I want more of her, or she's not, there's just something, I'm kind of more repelled. So it's like a magnet. It's either the magnets are going the right way or they are in reverse. So In her case, as a manifestor, her strategy is to inform. It is to see and to tell and to, it is a proclamation. It's very communication oriented. It is, unlike others, for example, a generator is to respond. So to respond is like a generator is like, I see that needs to be done. Let me do it. I can do that. And then they go to the next thing and the next thing. Whereas a manifestor is to inform. I believe this to be true. I feel this is wrong. This is right. And that is what their purpose is, right? That is how they need to show up in the world. Their strategy then is when they are meeting their strategy, when I can, in her case, use her voice and her wisdom and so forth, then she is calm. But when she is not able to inform, use her voice, and to impart her wisdom, she is angry. Go back to, why has she moved from one role to another throughout her life? Was that when she could not use her voice, she needed to move on. Okay? Because she was not in herself, she wasn't in alignment. So then in her case, her authority is emotional, which means those who have a defined solar plexus, they have to make their decisions based on where they are emotionally. How many times have you like, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to do this for the rest of my life. And then you're like the next day, like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Or when you've been in the dumps and you're like, oh, this is so horrible. I'm throwing this all away. I want never to do this again. And then you have remorse. So as an authority, as an emotional authority, you want to make sure that you're in neutral. You're making decisions at complete neutral. Okay. So there are gates and channels and defined and undefined centers. An actual reading with me is a 90-minute, and I could go for 13 hours. I could tell you all the things about every part of your life. But in any case, for her, we then went to her channels, which are, those in essence are your gifts. These are the things that you must do in the world. Okay. So her two channels, one was, it's in essence learning for learning's sake. She has to keep learning. And it isn't about and she's always felt like she was learning to figure something out so that she could do something more and so forth. But in actuality, and when she thought about it, is that she learns because she enjoys it. She was saying after the session that she has tried all these different hobbies. And once she learned it, then she stopped. And she always thought there was something wrong with her. Like, why can't she just stick to something? But she was like, the fun was in the process, not in the product. And now she's done. She figured it out and she's moving on. The second one, she has a defined spleen. She has a very powerful intuition, a knowing. And so one of her gifts is to leverage that powerful intuition to impart and impact others. So in her business, she helps businesses identify gaps, holes, missed opportunities, and so forth in one aspect of their business. And she loves that. She says she can just do with research and going through their website and going through their materials and talking to them and so forth. She can just see it. It's like it's all lined up in front of her. She just knows these are what need to be changed. And then once that strategy is determined, all of this needs to be addressed. She has then got stuck because she felt that she needed to do all of those things. The doing, the responding. And that's not how she's wired. And so thus, she kept thinking it was a time issue, like she would get to a point and she would run out of time. But really, she just ran out of interest, ran out of energy, ran out of drive to do that work because she is not wired to do that work. And to see her, the relief in her, to say, like, this part, stay in your lane. This part of imparting your wisdom and seeing these holes and following your knowing, that is what people will pay you for. And then someone else, you can refer people, you can do it. That doing piece is not for you. And it was as if the world had opened up. There wasn't anything wrong with her. Do you know how often we think there's something wrong with us because we do things different than other people, or we see things, feel things, do things that other people don't understand? And so thus we push those things down and try to be like everybody else. We fit in. We kind of toe the line. We're, working, but we're just generic. We are not able to fully live within our lives. And this then provided her with the permission to just focus on this part of her business. This part of her business, which is already pulled together. This is the part she loves. This is the part she can spend all day. And I asked her, when you are doing this kind of strategy research audit portion with your clients, have you ever run out of time doing that? She's like, no. I'm like, you've always given that, like, again, that sacred space. She's like, every time. It's never about time, my friends. It is, in her case, she was out of alignment. She was trying to be like everyone else who does this type of work. That's an end-to-end solution. And that's not what she's built for. And that is the huge piece of human design, is the conditioning. 70% of the world has generator energy, either manifesting generators and generators. And generators are powerful doers. They respond. They see this is needing to be done, and let's do it. They can see how it needs to be done. They get things done. If we just work harder, we'll get it done, and so forth. Like an Energizer bunny. That's kind of how I look at it. Since 70% of the world has that energy, they have conditioned all of the peoples to be like that, to pick one thing, to finish everything you start, that if you just work harder, you can get it done. Work harder, work harder, work harder. In her situation, she was doubting her knowing because she thought, who am I to just come in here and she can't explain how it is she knows. And she's had proven success where they fixed all these things and great things happened and so forth. So she knows that it's correct. But there's this conditioning of like, who am I? Who am I to come in here and just do just to say these things? There's this idea that there are superpowers. These are superpowers, right? I say that you can teach your skills. Like if you have a skill in copywriting, you can teach how to copyright, right? Like, here is your main idea. Here's how we can do the hook, the this, the that. There's different frameworks and so forth. But our superpowers, that thing that we just innately do, We can't teach it. So in her mind, she just had this weird knowing and she can't explain it. So how can she charge for it? She is not alone. All of our superpowers we take for granted and we think how it comes so easy to us. How could we possibly charge for that? And that, my friend, is why they need to charge. You need to charge for it because it is powerful, because it's amazing, because other people don't have it and they want it. We are taught to be humble. We are taught to pay for or charge for tangible things. And sometimes our amazingness is not tangible, but it's still powerful and it's necessary in the world. And so thus you should be paid for that work. Being able to finally, and I could do a series of this for several months of the openness that I've had from my clients. And once they understand, one client who's like, I can't ever stop. I can't finish things. I have so many projects around here that aren't finished. Manifesting generator. They are meant to start. They're not to finish. Manifestors meant to start, not to finish. This concept of like, I don't want to be with all the people. I don't want to sell. I can't do this. A projector. Tons of wisdom. An amazing observer. But they need the invitation. They need to be welcomed in. They're not just going to knock on your door and say, you need this. There is, and this part comes up within my practice so much. One of the centers within you and me and all the people is our identity center. And this is what, if it's defined, you have a defined identity. This is where you're going. You always know this is where you're going, right? Or you can establish where you're going. If you have an open identity, you're a chameleon. You're kind of a leaf on the wind, and you have a magnetic pull within you that just pulls you to the next thing. Goal setting, very difficult for our open identities. Understanding what you're supposed to do or what I need to do forever doesn't work for you. So helping the women I work with understand that they aren't meant to know. There is no soul searching that they will do that's going to bring them to the one thing. Understand your human design, my friend, and crack open the possibility of embracing your individuality and understanding what makes you absolutely and completely unique from anyone else on the planet. Check the link in my show notes for you to pull your own blueprint. And then I'll also put a link in there for a 90-minute session if it's at all of interest to dig in to your own human design. And also know that if you are at that place of, I don't know what I want, Janessa, but I know this isn't it, and want to get to, I used the visual the other day of Simone Biles when she sticks a landing and her arms are way up in the air and it's like her back is flexed and she's like, I did it. That's how I want every single woman to come out of my ignitHER program. And human design is just one of the many elements that will get them there. I hope you have a freaking amazing week.